Determined to make a name for herself outside of the Sunset Strip, Daisy Jones started writing her own songs. Armed with only a pen and paper and no musical training whatsoever, Daisy created a songbook that soon grew to include rough sketches of over 100 songs. One night during the summer of '72, Daisy attended a Mi Vida show at the Ash Grove. She was dating Mi Vida frontman Jim Blades at the time. Toward the end of the set, Jim invited Daisy onto the stage to do a cover of Son of a Preacher Man with the band.
Simone. Daisy had grown her hair out really long by then, gotten rid of her bangs. She always wore hoop earrings and she never wore shoes. She was just very cool. That night at the Ash Grove, she and I were sitting in the back and Jim tried to get her to go up there and she kept saying no. But he kept at it most of the night and eventually, Daisy got on that stage.
Daisy, it was a surreal feeling. All of those people looking at me, expecting something to happen.
When she started singing with Jim, she was kind of timid about it, which surprised me. But I could feel her getting more and more into it as the song went on. And then somewhere around the second chorus, she just let it rip. She was smiling, she was happy up there, and people couldn't take their eyes off of her. By the time they got toward the end, Jim had stopped singing and just let her go. She brought the house down.
Jim Blades, lead singer of Mi Vida. Daisy had this incredible voice. It was gritty but never scratchy. You'd have thought she had rocks in her throat that the sound had to travel over. It made everything she sang complex and interesting and kind of unpredictable. I've never had much of a voice myself. You don't have to have a great voice to be a singer if your songs are good enough, but Daisy had the whole thing going, man. She was always singing from deep in her belly. It takes people years to learn something like that, and Daisy just did it naturally, did it singing in the car next to you or folding the laundry. I was always trying to get her to sing with me, and she always said no until that night at the Ash Grove. I think she finally agreed to sing in public because of how bad she wanted to be a songwriter. I told her the biggest thing your songs have going for them is that you might sing them. Her biggest asset was that people couldn't take their eyes off her. I told her to use that.
I felt like Jim was basically saying that nobody cared what I was singing about as long as they could get a good look at me. Jim always made me mad.
If memory serves, Daisy threw her lipstick at me, but when she calmed down, she asked me where she should try to play some gigs.
I wanted to get my songs heard, so I started singing a bit around L.A. I'd sing a few of my songs, do some stuff with Simone.
Greg McGinnis. You know, Daisy was dating everybody. Like, man, when that fight broke out between Tick Yoon and Larry Hapman outside Licorice Pizza, and Tick busted Larry's eyebrow open, that was crazy stuff. I was there. I'd been buying my Dark Side of the Moon LP. So, when was that? Late 72, maybe early 73? I looked outside and Tick's got Larry in a headlock and people said they were fighting over Daisy. Plus, I'd heard Dick Poehler and Frankie Bates had both tried to get her to record a demo and she'd turned them down.
Suddenly there were so many people trying to convince me to do a demo. All these guys wanted to be my manager. But I knew what that meant. LA is full of men just waiting for some naive girl to believe their bullshit. Hank Allen was the least smarmy. He was the one that I could tolerate the most. By that point, I had moved out of my parents' house and into the Chateau Marmont. I'd rented a cottage in the back, and Hank was at my door all the time, leaving messages. He was the only one not just talking about me, but also about my songs. I said, all right, if you want to manage me, you can manage me.